Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to welcome Anna and Paul. Great couple. It's a powerhouse. Please, Anna, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Anna Hozyainova, and I am teaching meditation and wellness along with my partner.
Paul, that's me.
Do you want to say a couple words about yourself?
About myself? So I am a licensed acupuncturist by trade. I studied Chinese medicine in China over the period that's over a span of time that was about 3 decades. And I've returned to the United States in 2012 to practice Chinese medicine and teach and share what I've learned with either students or with patients through clinical practice.
And
how did it all start? Why Chinese medicine? How did your interest start and grow?
So I would say it started in a circuitous path, as many lives do. I was interested in becoming a competitive skier and found that although I trained really hard, I really wasn't able to perform very well in competition. And so I would say that there was a disintegration between my body and my mind. My body could compete very well, but my mind couldn't compete very well. So that got me onto a path of trying to understand what is the disconnect between body and mind. And it took me through things like progressive relaxation, sports psychology, and then into things like meditation and Tai Chi, and things that were sort of mind-body integrating activities. And then that led me to search for a medicine that echoed that kind of mind-body unity. And at the time, biomedicine was completely uninterested in this in the early 90s. And then the only thing I could find that spoke to that, some kind of holistic way of Western medicine, was actually nutrition. So I studied that in college. When I finished college, I studied Chinese language and went to China and was there for, as I said, for about 18 years, over 3 decades, and studied what I would say from the source, right? I studied with old masters in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and spent some time in Hong Kong and Macau also working. After about 13, 14 years there, I started to practice in a hospital. And after, kind of accumulating a great deal of experience, I felt like it was time to return home. And I came back to New York City and started practicing out of the city. And now with the pandemic, I'm both in the city and in Port Jefferson, Long Island, practicing.
Wonderful. Anna, tell us about your background, how you study.
I studied social work as my graduate program. Otherwise, I was trained as a public administrator. And most of my career, I've been doing human rights investigations, focusing on conflict and insecure environments. And that is how I discovered or practiced my meditation, because it was a high stakes and highly stressful environment full of trauma. And I've became a dedicated practitioner of mindfulness and meditation. And that is how we met. Paul and I, we met at a meditation retreat, at a silent meditation retreat nonetheless. We have not spoken during the retreat. It's just that after the retreat, we decided to go for a walk, and now we're walking for the last several years. And now we together integrate teachings of meditation and mindfulness as a part of the East-West Integrated Wellness practice.
Fantastic. How are you raising your children? I heard you have a little kids.
We have 2 little girls, and it is an interesting path for the cultivators of mindfulness, just to be able to see how highly stressful it is, but at the same time, highly rewarding. And of all the teachers I've ever had, my children were the strictest teachers of being here and now. They do not let me wander off and imagine things. It needs to be here and now.
Great.
I agree to that.
Me too. I agree with completely. All right, so tell us, what are you gonna share on Saturday?
So on Saturday, we're going to do a couple things. Mainly, we're going to try to impart some practices of meditation that might be helpful to people in terms of who are relatively new to meditation, and so that they might have a foothold or a foot in or into the door of what meditation could be like and what it could do for them. And we're going to then explain from a modern perspective and from a traditional perspective what meditation does to not only reduce your stress, but prevent you from a buildup of stress. Sort of look at the mechanism behind what stress is and how we can, release ourselves from a spiral of stress buildup. So that's going to be one part of the major part of the discussions on Saturday. And then we're going to talk a little bit about things like how acupuncture, Chinese medicine, and manual therapies that include Shiatsu can be used to achieve the same result, to heal when you have a lot of stress, to help you recover and restore, but how they can be used to as a shield, and the word we used was a vaccine, to prevent you from getting stressed. We will probably introduce the concept of something called constant centeredness, among other things like the Chinese Wu Wei, and some other things that might help people orient towards the traditional understandings and experiences of maintaining one's well-being, maintaining one's centeredness, and then how aspects of modern science, contemplative neuroscience, have researched and confirmed some of these things that people would say. So that's kind of the main structure of what we're going to be talking about. Anna, do you have something to add?
I guess one of the key things that we will build on is that a lot of the times meditation is seen as something that you do while you sit cross-legged and look serene. And that is what the meditation. So we will provide people with very practical and basic tools that will allow them to implement move in meditation in their daily life, how effectively what meditation is doing what you're doing while you're doing it and nothing else. And that could include walking, it could include eating, it could include sleeping, just as long as you are focused and fully present with what you're doing. So we will just discuss in very practical tools. It's not going to be high level cerebral conversation.
Yes, so the idea might be that you can do it with your kids. You don't have to go off to a mountainside and sit in a monastery to meditate.
Yes, because that's one of the typical objections to, oh, I can't do meditation, I have children around. And we say, yes, that's exactly why you should be doing meditation. Otherwise, it will be incredibly stressful.
Great, that's wonderful.
Is there any other interesting questions you might have about what we're going to talk about? I think in part the discussion on manual therapies like Shiatsu and acupuncture and things like that will reinforce that you can have another way of going about this, another way of achieving these this kind of centeredness and calming and healing. But the end is the same. The end point is the same. Whether you do it through the mind or do it through manual therapy, you do it through acupuncture or Chinese herbs, the direction and end point is the same.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And cut. I have to go.
Yes, thank you,
Speaking
Anna.
of children and we really encourage and invite you to come to our talk on Saturday. And we are looking forward to sharing these very practical tools to help you to settle more comfortably in your body and in your life. What would you say, Paul?
Yes, this talk is entitled Using Chinese Medicine and qigong as a Vaccine for Stress in 2022. So we are hopeful that you will, given the environment that we're in, if you need some help, we're here to offer you some.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you.